Well, the reality is we got in yesterday about 7 o'clock at night, and so I'm going to have some words here in front of me because I don't have too much going on in my brain right now. But on June 14th, about 6 weeks ago, my friends over here, please raise your hand. 6 bicycle riders and 3 support crew left San Francisco on our bicycles after celebrating Mercy's 30th anniversary for a cross-country excursion. Yesterday, after some 3,600 miles and crossing 12 states, we safely arrived at our nation's capital and are proud to stand before and with you to speak on the issue of affordable housing and sequestration. Have the Mercy Riders raise your hand one more time. So these are all folks who literally took 6 weeks out of their jobs, 6 weeks out. One's a dentist, so he has been leaving people alone for 6 weeks, to get on the bike, ride across the country, and tell people about the need to support homelessness. In Carson City, a 7th rider, Claire Reinbold. Claire, please raise your hand.
Hey, Claire!
Joined us. Claire was actually going to ride across the country by herself.
Wow.
And we told her we didn't think that was a good idea. So she joined us, and she's raising money for World Pediatrics Foundation. And so go to Claire the Road to learn more about Claire. Because we wanted as much of the money we raised to go to supportive services, we've been staying in people's homes, churches, setting up our tents in city parks. In Washington, Iowa, a man named Jose let all 12 of us stay in his apartment. This guy didn't even speak good English, so he didn't know what we were doing, really, except they were raising money for the homeless. He let all 12 of us stay in his apartment, which he shared with his 3 sons. He didn't have much, but he shared what he had with us. In this era where you can write to your member of Congress as easily as pushing a button, we sometimes forget how powerful it can be to show up in person to tell your story. Over the last 6 weeks, we have talked to people in the most rural of small towns to major urban centers about homelessness and the need to support it. We have found universal support for homelessness programs, particularly for veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, and families in transition. We didn't find a soul in those whole 14 states that were opposed to those issues. They support it. By the way, please visit mercyriders.org to hear some of their stories and to see the people who shared them. For folks who work in affordable housing, the story of sequestration can be a difficult one to illustrate. HUD got hit with heavy cuts on top of several years of heavy cuts. Some programs for the construction and prevention of affordable housing have been cut by over half. That is unacceptable. But it is hard to calculate that fewer units were built or the vouchers that were returned to housing authorities weren't reissued. People are staying homeless longer, but it's hard to put that in numbers. And that's why Congress hasn't been feeling the pressure to reverse sequestration. In the case of Mercy Housing, we house almost 18,000 units, and other housing providers. HUD is delaying payments of a portion of the rent, hoping Congress will cancel sequestration and replace the money. If they don't, in a few years, HUD will be behind in their payments by over $8 billion. And when the housing providers are in a precarious financial position, it becomes harder to attract the private capital that we need when they don't know if HUD's going to be there when HUD has to pay their bills. Congress needs to hear from you. Congress needs to hear from us. Congress needs to hear from their constituents. Mercy is bringing them to our communities to hear from the residents. Numbers are important. Congress gets numbers thrown at them all day. Meeting the people they serve is what really turns them into advocates for HUD programs. At Mercy Housing, we've used the slogan because we are here, to describe what happens to families and neighborhoods through affordable housing. We heard some of those stories just a few minutes ago. Because we're here, kids can focus on doing well in school. Because we're here, seniors can get support they need as they grow older. Well, Congress, we are here. We have ridden some 3,600 miles to spread the message of the importance of affordable housing. Mercy Housing has been in this country for over 30 years, and we plan to stay. All these people are here as well. They took the time out of their busy life to show up and talk to you about the impacts of sequestration. Thank you, and thank you for listening about the Mercy Riders.
What do we want? When do we want it?